afternoon, beautiful beings of light. Welcome to the Crone Zone Conversations with the Ancients. My name's Priscilla. Heather's my co-host, and today we welcome Nancy Jean from Nancy Jean's Garden.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here today. Yay.
Yay.
We are delighted to have you.
Well, I'm delighted to be here.
Let's say hi to the chat. Lark Kemper's here and Faye Cole. And Patricia Franzino, thank you guys for showing up this beautiful Saturday afternoon because it is gorgeous here. I don't know where you guys are, but Key West is beautiful today.
It's nice here in Denver. It's not cold.
Thank you, Lark. That music actually and the singing is Heather's daughter.
And she wrote it.
She wrote the music and she sang it. So that's pretty neat.
That is.
Isn't that nice? I love it. I love hearing it every single
I love your intro. That's gorgeous.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. So today we're going to talk about dowsing, or at least with our
pendulums.
Her wonderful pendulums.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Jean is going to talk to us a lot about pendulums today, how to use them, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Looks like we're getting a room full. Hi, Teresa and Cheryl, Summer, Muley, Dina.
My goodness.
Lots of people from your channel. That's great. Laurie Hunsinger, nice to see you today. Awesome. Don't change it. Thank you. I'm not going to change it anytime soon. I really love the music. It makes me feel good as a starter.
It is. It's a really lovely way to get drawn into the energy. I think you got your energy.
She does a lot of those things. She did. She's not teaching now, but she was teaching yoga. But she does chants for different studios and things. That she'll go
kirtan. She plays kirtan and sings kirtan and even writes it. She reads and writes Sanskrit. Amazing. She's very, very talented. Yeah. Hey, Jay, Lisa Niedermeyer. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to change this little screen so that look, it worked perfect that time.
I know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. I think it's fun to have our guest in the hot seat.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting in the same place. You may have made me bigger, but I didn't move an inch.
I love the purple today. It's nice and bright.
Yes.
Looks great.
So the way this came about was I was talking with Priscilla about things that I was doing, and you'd seen that I was doing something with pendulums, or you'd seen the thing. I'm not sure which, but I told her that I enjoy pendulums. Sorry, Heather.
I muted her.
Okay.
You're muted, Heather. You can't talk if you cough at the same time.
And one of the things I think, when we're working with cards and stones or pendulums and things, most of us have been around them long enough to have some feeling for them and stuff. But one of the things that I think a lot of people don't do is they don't protect themselves. They don't think ahead about what am I really dealing with here? And Heather, I think, went and got one, but on my website.
Yeah, I did. I have one.
The dowsing sheet, right.
Yeah,
and
I got that.
Yeah. And what it says at the very bottom, just to remind you, is, and dowsing sheets that I'll show you the one that's on my website. If you go to www.Crystaldirections.com, there's a folder that says resources. You can go download it. It's a PDF. You can print it off. There's no charge for it.
Which I did.
Yeah. And what it asks you is, do I have permission to douse? Yeah, it's right here on the very bottom, which I can't point to. But those three little sentences on the lower right hand, as I'm looking at it, side, it says, do I have permission to douse? And it says, am I working with my higher self? And then it says, am I protected? And, Danny and I came up with that. And I never really thought about it much until a year ago. It was almost a year ago now. I went back to the vintage clothing store where I used to read cards every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before COVID. And you know, and I laid the dowsing thing down to check all the instruments I was working with. And the first two were fine. It said, yeah, I have permission to douse. I was connected with my higher self. But when it said, are you protected? I was swinging this little pendulum, and it literally swung out of my hand and flew across the aisle.
Wow.
And I went,
that's not
okay,
good.
apparently I need to burn some sage and I need to get out. I use this because I also have asthma. But this is an energy shield, Palo Santo and white sage mist you can get on the internet. And this is my own container for it. The container they sent it with didn't spritz. So I took the liquid out and put it in this thing. And this thing spritzes and it makes a really wide arc of spritz. And it puts that energy around you. And then I went through the 3 statements again. And this time it just swung like, yes, you can do this now.
That's cool.
But
yeah, I have a white sage, Archangel Michael white sage smudge spray, because we're not supposed to burn anything in the apartment. So
I have my white sage smudge candle.
So, you know, and it's really because people, we know it because we run into different, like that experience I had a year ago, but a lot of people don't understand that what they're dealing with is real energy. And I know there are some readers who say, oh, there's no such thing as negative energy. I will debate that with them with all of the fervor I can get out of my 74 years of living.
Well, we know there is. There's poltergeists. So those are mischievous, if not lower. It's lower energies, maybe not evil energies, but definitely lower energies. And I've had too many psychic attacks not to believe in lower energies.
Well, I tell you, if you really want to get convinced, read in a vintage store that has not just the clothing, but it also has all kinds of booths full of stuff that has been owned by all sorts of people, some living, some dead. And the weirdest thing that ever happened there was this couple had gotten some African masks, and they thought they were sort of knockoff masks, and they hung them in their booth, and they had them hanging on a pole. And I didn't even know they were there. And one of the other booth guys, Rob, came running around the corner, and he goes, Nancy, we need you. And I'm like, okay, you know, and I went around, and one of the masks had literally flown off of the pillar and landed at the foot of this woman that was just a customer in the store.
Yikes.
So I said, okay, I've got some stuff to take care of it. And so I said, but Rob, I'm not touching it. And he went and got these big, like, electrician's gloves.
Those big leather humongous things. Yeah.
And he carries it up and he puts it back on the pole. And then I put pink salt all around it. And I burnt some incense, and I told it was to stay there until the people who'd put it up would come and take it down. And then I called the owner of the store and I said, you got a problem in the store. And I turned around, and the woman who this had happened to, that it had flown off onto her feet, she was still just standing there. And I said, I hope that didn't upset you terribly. And she said, oh, the first time something flew off a wall and came towards me, it did. But this time it's like, and I'm like, this happens to you? And she said,
happens all the time.
Yeah, basically. And she said, what did you do? So I sat her at my table, and we went through a little of how to build a better world around herself so she's not getting attacked by African masks. But the long and short story of those masks were they came and took them all off the pillar, took them to their house, moved them in the garage till they could figure out what to do with them. And while they were in the garage, their washing machine broke, their freezer in the garage broke, and one day they got in the car and it wouldn't start. So they called me up and they said, could that be the masks? And I said,
you think?
Yeah. So I knew a Black pastor in South Dallas who collects African art, and he understands it. And I told him where they lived, and he went by to look at it. And he said that he would just take it away for them and get it put into place. These were apparently masks that it was a real African masks, and it's a mask that they wore when they were torturing people.
Oh, yikes.
So
it had to be something horrible.
Yeah. And, you know, if you don't know what is part of a culture, unless it just sings to you and says, I'm absolutely sweet and wonderful, it's probably best not to say, oh, that's kind of groovy and ethnic, and I'm going to take it home, because you have no idea what you might be taking home.
You know, until you get into this community, until you start doing your research and learning about vibrations and energies, you have absolutely no idea what you're picking up in a used clothing store or an antique store or whatever. You're absolutely right. And I always shopped at those stores.
Yeah.
I have an interesting thing about energy and vibration. My husband was a psychic medium. He also had severe heart disease, and he was on blood thinners, and he bled a lot. We were in the hospital quite often with various internal bleeding. And one day we were in the hospital, and he was supposed to be released that day, but they needed to give him a bag of blood. And so they gave him the blood, and the nurse came in to check his temperature. Thank you. Temperature. And it was a little bit high. And she said, well, you can't go home if you have a temperature after having blood. So he said, come back in 15 minutes. And he lowered his temperature. He was very good at that sort of thing. He lowered his temperature so he could go home. However, when we got home, the energy in the bag of blood, now he was being attacked, and that I thought was psychically attacked, but he was being energetically attacked. He was laying on the bed and his temperature was up. He was being energetically attacked, and I got him through it. And in the end, he turned to me and he goes, the energy of the blood thought I was trying to kill her. Her name was something like gold or blue. It was a color. She didn't realize that it was just her blood that was going into somebody else. Her energy was still in that blood, and she thought she was being attacked. So she was attacking him. That's a bag of blood. How often does that happen? And people probably die, and you don't even know that that's the reason they died, was some kind of energetic mix-up. But
yeah, he used to check the blood every single time before they started to give it to him. He'd put his hand on the bag of blood
to make sure that wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully my ear's unblocked without needing any blood.
But it's just a weird example of what energy can attach itself to.
One of the things that I'll talk about then is I'll read the violet flame. And this is the sheet you can pull off at the same place you can get the grids. And it's a blessing for your home. And it says, I call upon Archangel Zadkiel, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, Articus, Diana, Victoria, and all the angels on the violet ray. Blaze, blaze, blaze the violet flame in, through, around the entire home, property, and vehicles. Violet flame, any and all low discordant energies that are absorbed in this house, property, or vehicles. Do every nook and cranny, every crystal, every stone, every piece of wood, every animal, every sheet, every pillowcase, every blanket, every pillow, every piece of fabric, anything on this property. Transmute any low, misguided energies. Transmute all cause, core, effect, record, memory known and unknown from the past, present, and future, and from other dimensions. Send this discordant, misguided energy back to the original source of all that there is, where it will be repolarized and regenerated back into the original Christed white light state. When this has been completed, then return that white light to this property. So you're not sending away forever. You get your stuff back. It's like laundry. You send it off, it comes back clean.
Yeah, it's just all cleansed.
And then and at the end, after you say that prayer, you pause. And I always see like a big tornado going up and then see it coming back down. And it doesn't take much time at all. But I give this is in part of the packet of every person who takes a class from me. Can you type in the website so they can see it in the chat? Because one woman got it.
Crystaldirections.com, right?
Right. I sent it out, and this one woman thought, oh, it was such an interesting thing. She decided to try it. So she did it in this room. And she said, it must be the psychological effect. I feel like the room's lighter. So then she went to her front room and she did it in the front room of her house. Anyway, she ran around her whole house and did it. And later that day, a friend of hers came by who knew nothing about the prayer or anything else. And she said, did you get the windows cleaned? Did you change the window coverings? It's so bright.
I couldn't figure it out.
And she said, I do it. She has it pinned up in her kitchen, and she says it every day from there. Because I told her you don't have to go to every room. But she'd been playing with cards and doing different things, and it never occurred to her something might be coming in with that energy.
I totally understand that. It's really important to keep yourself protected.
That's
I
right.
have what is that material? I can't think of it. Pyramids in each corner of my garden.
Mm-hmm.
Arcanite or something like that.
Or organite. Yeah,
Yes.
organite
Mm-hmm.
pyramids in the
Yeah,
each
and you
corner.
can. I'll do a different show with you another day about using crystals to protect spaces, because that's the other thing I do. But we're going to talk about dowsing. Now, when people think about the
Dowsing.
word dowsing, they normally think of these guys. They got little handles. The metal, these are copper. The metal can swing freely. What you do is you get them straight in front of you. And I'm trying to figure out where straight is with my camera.
I know, right? With the camera.
Right. And then you say, okay, what is yes?
Give
It's
me a
making
yes.
Yeah, that's a yes for me. Now you have to ask for yourself, because for some
I
people, yes
am.
will be out. Okay.
Yep. My yes is this. Give me a
Okay.
no.
I got to get him set again. Give me a no. Give me a no. Give me a no.
Give me a
That's a
no.
big no one way, and the other one's slowly moving no. You can also use these for if you're looking for something outside. If you're thinking, like I happen to have a ley line tree. I have a tree that's on a ley line. His name's Hogarth, and he's all covered with the bumps that you occasionally see trees that have those little. They're called burls.
Mm-hmm.
Like this tree, I counted. It's got 40 burls.
Wow.
And I had been told when I was first talking with the elementals, they said, well, you have a ley line tree right by you. And I said, how am I going to ever find it? And I took these out on my front porch and I just said, okay, where's the ley line tree? So they went that way. So I started walking that way. Then I got to the big street. Then it told me go down the way. And then I walked up to this tree, saw the burls all over it. And I said, no doubt. And the reason ley line trees have more burls is because ley lines have incredible energy in them. And they actually sort of, it's kind of like cancer can cause radiation. It's not cancer, but it sends too much energy in the tree to grow.
Mm-hmm.
It uses the energy that way. I had a friend who's an architect who works with elemental energy, and I said, how do you find a tree? And he's the one who told me about the burls. And he said, if you're in a woods now in Texas, I live in Texas, so finding enough trees in a row to find this is pretty limited, especially where I live. But he said, when he lives in Minnesota where there's lots of trees, he said, if you see a tree with burls on it, you go 360 around that tree and you'll see another tree in line of sight with burls on it. You walk to that tree, you'll find another tree and you'll see where the ley line goes through the woods.
Interesting. I'm not sure palm trees get burls.
I may not. You may have to do something different. Well, you're also near the water, and there's water in everything around you. That sort of. But the ley lines go under the ocean, and the whales keep them straight.
Mm.
So, anyway, so that's another use you can use for dowsing. You found water. You found your water.
I actually found water, but I wasn't using these. I was using coat hangers. I was looking for a water line on our property in a pasture, trying to figure out where it came into the house. Where it came to the road to cross a bridge, and they nailed it. I mean, it was no problem. It was right there.
Mm-hmm.
It was,
Yeah,
and I have to admit, when my sister suggested it, I thought, yeah, sure. Because I hadn't used things like that before. I wasn't
like Bigfoot.
Like what?
Kind of like Bigfoot. Yeah, sure.
True. Exactly. Yeah, I didn't believe in Bigfoot either.
But
well, she proved me wrong.
It's called dowsing. What we're doing, what we're discussing, but it's also pendulums douse, and that's another word for materials that you can use to douse. And I'm going to go to my other table and show you the I'm going to show you the chart that you can get from my website.
Okay,
And
wait a minute. Let me get, how do I get that puppy big? There
you
we
make
go. That worked.
it makes
Yeah.
me okay. And there's all kinds of pendulums. All these things over here are pendulums. This one's a solid metal pendulum. And when I'm going to be outside with the pendulum, I'll use this pendulum because it's heavier and the wind won't blow it. This is a pendulum that is a bit of rutilated quartz in the middle, and it's a pendulum. The this is a crystal Merkaba. That's a pendulum. And if you don't know what a Merkaba is, that's the two pyramids jammed together. They're sticking out. That's the end of sacred geometry, is the Merkaba.
Actually, what we travel through dimensions in.
Yes.
How we travel as light bodies is in our Merkaba.
Mm-hmm. And this is a one made out of with a light. It's a quartz. It's just a beautiful piece of quartz a friend made for me. And I'll tell you a secret about pendulums. If you can find one that's what they call on this kind of a chain, it's called a paperclip chain. And they will never get into knots. All my other pendulums, for the most part, if they have these little silvery chains, they'll get into knots.
They get into knots so bad.
Yeah, and if
They
you get
do.
the paperclip chain, it can't. You just tug on it and it clears itself out. This is a wooden pendulum, and it came as a set. These three, a friend of mine told me about them, and I got them because I was curious, also because I wanted a medal. These three came together, and they're based on a form that was seen in the Egyptian tombs when they did pendulum work. So that's what they made them from. And it actually comes, if you can find them on Amazon, and it comes with a little booklet that kind of gives you a quick fix on reading. But how to use the chart. Okay, I've already asked. I'll show you what you do.
I was going to go back and tell you that I have used other things besides pendulums.
Oh, yeah.
I've used a set of keys because I didn't have anything with me. I used to wear a smoky quartz. I just took it off my head and I just used it, or a necklace or something. So it doesn't have to be a pendulum. It just anything that will free.
This is a necklace I'm wearing today. It happens to be a tree of life on a piece of malachite. It's wire wrapped, and you can just pull it off and swing it.
What's your yes and no? What is your yes and no, Nancy?
Okay. We did this because it was fitted for me, but I said, which way is yes? And I check it every time, even though it says it on the paper. Mm-hmm. And then it says, which way is no? Okay, it's go no. And that always works for me. But some people, it does circles. This way
I get circles.
Yes, and the other one would be no. Some will get a circle for yes and a straight line for no. It can be going any direction.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what I'm using.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah.
So if you get the dowsing chart, I'm going to do the questions. Do I have permission to dowse? Okay. Am I aligned with my higher self? Okay. Am I fully protected? It didn't stop completely. Am I fully protected? Yeah, it just went right back into it. Okay. Those three question sheet, they're really simple. It's just, should I be doing this? Am I working for my higher self? And am I protected? And that's basically it. And then the reason Danny and I invented this sheet was to not just do cute yes and no's. This little color bar thing at the bottom is it's about your vibrational pull. And the vibrations that fall in this lower quadrant, and they're done by numbers, 20 to 200, means you can be a victim or abuser of your own consciousness. Then when you go above that, you get that you're becoming self-empowered, and that goes up to about 400, 450. And then 450 and up are all the states of grace that you can get into: inner wisdom, inner love, oneness, presence, and at the very top, 1,000 is full consciousness. And so the way Danny and I worked with this is, I always start the pendulum swinging around in a circle, and I'll go, what is the level of my consciousness right now? Okay, it's swung over to here. This is 100. You add a 0 on that, so it's 1,000. And the reason we did that is because it was too hard to get all the numbers around and get them all on the sheet. And I didn't design the sheet, Danny did, and I'm not going to argue with the guy who does free work. So and if you want to check how things can change your temperament, or your vibrations, when Danny had first created this, he had finished it and it was swinging and it was, hitting 1,000, and he felt really good. He came downstairs and the Orange Menace was on the TV, and Danny watched about 5 minutes of whatever was going on, and he went stomping back upstairs and he said, perfect time to see what that did to my vibration. And it took him back down to about 600. So
wow, that fast.
Oh yeah. That's why when we say, if you want to keep your vibrations up, you don't have to hang with the news people. You can find it other ways. Now, other kinds of charts. Okay, before we get to that. This is also on my website, and I have permission of the people to do this. It's a letter to Robin. You can see it's a very thick little booklet. It's a mini course on pendulum dowsing, and it was done by a guy named Walt Woods, who is really the head of the whole dowsing, the American Society of Dowsing.
Wow.
And
I actually have that.
Yeah, and this woman named Robin kept writing him questions, so he ended up sending her letters back. And this is all a compilation of all the information he helped her do.
That's really cute.
It's got pendulums, it's got L rods, what he calls L rods. It's got other descriptions. It's got how to find noxious energies, water. It's food good for you. You can test your food.
I've seen Cash Peters do that with his just muscle.
Yeah, he does his with his body energy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and he also he has I've never used one of these. They're called a bobber. It's like a stick that can flex, and it will bob up and down when you're over what you want to know about. And then he also uses a Y rod, and he talks about what's the advantage of each of these kinds of units and how to work with them. It's just marvelous. The day I found it and downloaded it for myself, I
did too.
Yeah, and so you can find that at my website under resources also. Okay, now these are specific dowsing charts. They're called dowsing charts, and there is a website, and it's called, I'll type it because it's called subteal.net, net. And it's www and all the rest of that stuff. But Subteal is in France. And what they do is when people say, I want to do a dowsing chart about this, they create them. They help you create your own dowsing charts for whatever you're interested in. So I took a series of these that were there. This one happens to be, what is your spirit animal? And it's got everything from a dolphin to a bat to an armadillo to a wolf to a dog to a coyote.
Oh, cool.
And so you can, and actually someone who's in the chat asked me if I'd figure out what her spirit animal was. So what's Angla's spirit animal? It doesn't amaze me, but it's an antelope. Now she lives in Finland. I don't know how many antelopes in Finland, but that's a spirit animal that she relates to. That's one of the kinds of charts. This is the one that is, I knew I should have written these things on here. This is about who you should be communicating with when you're using dowsing rods, cards, or whatever. And it's got everything from Nordic figures, Orion. It's got all of the star systems. It's got spirits, guides, angel helpers. And it also has on
Neat.
the outside, don't communicate with. And then it's got requires permission to communicate with earthbound souls, departed relatives. And then this is you're permitted to communicate with any of these. And you kind of just have to look and see what floats your boat.
Yeah.
This
So
one
many
is,
options.
there's over 300 dowsing charts on that site. And this one is, what stones do you work best with? And it's got everything from obsidian to sodalite to bloodstone. It's got most of the ones you would normally think about working with your system.
That'd be kind of neat for when you're making jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I played with it a little, picture Jasper's fun. When I played with it a little bit one day, I got some good answers. And we've got, this is one for, if you're asking about the past, and I've used this in working with people in past lives because it's got deep past 1600s, 1700s, 1800s up till now.
Wow.
Then it's got months. Then it's got which week in that year. Then it's got days, hours, minutes. And then it's got, you can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it depends on the question. But if you have a timing question and you can't find the answer on this sheet, I don't know what you're looking for.
No kidding.
And then this is your health. And you can look at if you're feeling certain things, it will let you know what body parts are involved. And you can read other people with that. If they say, I've got a problem, where's it coming from? And then this is also all kinds of health questions, from unbalanced relationships to torn energy fields to overactive immune systems, hormonal deficiencies. I mean,
Wow.
I kind of wonder what some of these people are doing. One's got demons. Okay.
Demons.
Demons. And this is the Dr. Bach's flower remedies. It's something that's really popular in Europe. It's here to a certain extent. But this, you can swing it over and see whether you got honeysuckle's going to heal you, gorse, agrimony, which that doesn't sound like something would fix you, but I guess it does. Willow, wild oat.
I'm familiar with those. I knew some people that were taking those courses in the early 2010.
And this is, how many days is it going to happen for this to come through for me? 1 to 5, 6 to 10. So you can kind of see
that would be really handy for those that are really crummy at dates, mediumship dates or psychic dates like me. I can't predict anything.
Oh, and this one's kind of interesting. It's like,
oh, Jay says that's exactly how she figures out what jewelry pieces are best for people.
Oh, good.
Interesting.
Okay. And also this one is careers and things you're good at. And it's got everything from cleaning and caring to digital marketing to gifts, flowers, and baskets. It's really got a ton of ideas. So you get what the idea is about this. Go there. And this one is, what do you need to work on in your life? And forgive, let go, enter into a relationship, take on a task. So you can see they're trying to answer all the questions. And this is another date time one. And I've used this with people when they want to know when they were going to change jobs. And it gives you the month and the day.
Oh, that's good.
And then this is a graph for everyone. It's got no, yes, maybe, that really lovely one. Early, late, morning, evening, afternoon. And it just depends on how you put the questions. It's got all the months. It's got all the days in each month. It's got times. And then it's got minutes. So you can figure out what minute you need to do it. And this one I used last week when I did the show on pendulums, because someone wanted to know if she was going to be able to inherit her grandparents' house. And we looked at it. And there's something between a brother and a sister who had ended up was supported by an aunt that are trying to block her from getting the house, even though they may not really want it. It's just, and she kind of said, yeah, that sounds right. So I guess. Oh, this is my favorite one. in dealing with the elementals, you ask them who's around you. You got elves, brownies, moss people.
Oh, would you find out who's around me?
Sure.
What elementals are around me? I'd love to know that.
Okay.
No fairies.
They are incredible. I agree. Book Bewitched.
Who is around? Priscilla. Who's around? Priscilla.
Jay says she took the Bach flower essence classes too.
Okay. Brownies are around you. They don't have fairies. Brownies are just going to come as close as you're going to come. And then you can say, how are they around you? And it's got friendly, neutral, grumpy, or bugger off.
Oh, let's see if they're if they're all right.
They are so
sure they're fine.
How are they around her? It's neutral. They're not affecting you. They're being good. I mean, they're not being outward. They're not coming and knocking on your door.
No, they're not.
Neutral.
Fun.
So that's those. And then this is another what should I be doing sort of chart. This is if you miss an item, if you've got a lost item, was it misplaced, lent to someone, dropped, or stolen? And then it's if you
that would be a handy one.
Right. And then you can find out in the house, in the trash, in the car. Was it stolen by a stranger, a known person, a friend? I think I'd redefine my friendships at that point. But and so I mean so I just copied off a few. And then if you really want to know astrologically, they've got one that you can ask into the months. And sometimes people have a better time remembering the months by the stars that are over them. So that's kind of my.
I love those.
Do we have any questions in the chat that we can?
We don't really have any questions, but we did. I did have some things I wanted to highlight because Terry at Holding Your Space says mine stops for free will questions. Why is straight? Yes, is straight, and circles are no. That's an interesting one because some of the times I've had my nose straight and my circles are yes.
Yeah,
I have to test every time, like you say, because it changes.
It depends on what I'm using.
You kind of have to ask at that day and that time.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly. You can't assume.
No, I can't ever assume with a pendulum. Janet C says I used an old necklace chain and beads for a pendulum. Yeah,
that's cool. Fine.
And Rose Blue, I have a silver chain with a gold ring on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I already did that one. Okay. And then I was just going to show you that Jay uses the Bach flower essence.
Yeah, I there's like only so much I can cram in my head, and then things start spilling out the other side. So I know.
You have a question.
Oh.
I'm sorry, things start spilling out outside of your head. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and then I can't find the thing I thought I knew. Okay, we're gonna look at her
checkbook.
If you guys have any questions, put them in caps with emojis, please, and I will highlight them and we will answer them because we can.
Mm-hmm. Because
I really like having all those different charts.
I do too. I think that's nice.
And I think she wrote down where the website was for all those charts.
I did. I sent it to one of you. It's subtil, subtil.net.
It's in the chat room.
If you Google dowsing charts, it'll send you there too, I think.
Is there a checkbook in her house? Yes, it's in your house.
It actually went over to in your house. So
ask Tony where it is.
Yeah, you can always ask St. Anthony. Tony, look around. Help me find what can't be found. Where are my keys? Mm-hmm. Where are my checkbook? Where's my checkbook?
And I ask that question before I go to bed. When I wake up in the morning, I know where it is.
Yep. You just have to free your mind.
The charts come from the subtil.net that she put up in the notes earlier.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Mel Broussard is taking a holiday in November and would like to know how it would go. What chart would you use for that?
I'll use the one that I use the most often, which, because some of these I'm not all sure about all their intricacies. And it will be.
And Ronnie wants to know if they're going to win the lottery.
I can't do that. Don't people understand about that? That we can't. If we could do that, then none of us
would
would
win
all
the
be
lottery.
rich. We would all be rich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And winning the lottery could be $1.
That's true. Or $5.
That's
We've
right.
got a couple of the other coming up. That's great.
Okay. This is Mel. Will your vacation be a positive experience?
Yeah. That's
Now we don't shoot the person who's swinging the pendulum, and you can't see it because I'm on the wrong camera. That's even worse. I wish I had a fancy schmancy setup with 2 cameras, but I'm cheap. I won't go there. So, okay, this way is going to be yes, because I already established that for today. So, for Mel, how's your vacation going to go? Will it be a positive experience?
Absolutely.
Yes, it's yes, and it's just off of yes. So there may be some extra bit of planning you need to do now. Consider that a forewarning. Okay. What else we got?
Well, there were lots of different questions.
Hang on. Let me get to my stars. We got my checkbook. We got that one.
Debbie Joy.
Ever going to win the lottery? No. Okay. Will our neighborhood? Okay. I've got him in a minute. Will my neighborhood win our battle against the building of a 5G tower?
Okay. Will the neighborhood win the battle about the 5G tower? Okay, cut right between the yes and no. And what that tells me is there's going to be a real compromise. It's not going to be the hideous mess that it could have been, but it is that energy is still coming into your neighborhood somehow.
Mine was really riding on the line of yes and no. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is, can you help me find my purple kid snowsuit? Cellar, 1 or 2, or second floor or attic. Okay. Cellar, second floor or attic. We got 3 spots.
Okay. So we're going to start with the cellar. Is the snowsuit she's looking for in the cellar? Nope. Okay. A second. Is it on the second floor? Is that the second floor or floor 2 or attic?
I
got yes on the second floor.
I got a maybe. It's because I don't know what I'm asking. I'm gonna ask if it's on the second floor because
that's what I asked.
Yeah, I got clearly it's on the second floor. So whatever you store things in, if it's purple, you should be able to find it. That's pretty
right.
Is Annie Hamlet's silver ring in her home?
Okay.
I gotta know.
No. And that was one of the last ones we looked at. So
I definitely gotta know.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's right here though.
What's that?
Okay, this is my sheet of where is something that's missing.
Okay, let me go back.
Okay.
Okay.
How was it lost? We got misplaced, lent to someone, dropped or left. It's misplaced. And where is it then? It's not in the house. Car. Have you looked in your car?
Check your car. Let me see if I get in the car. Is Annie's silver ring in the car? Yep. I'm getting car too.
Yeah, what I'm seeing, and I don't find things well. That's my daughter's gift. But what I'm seeing is it's down below. It was loose and it slipped off your finger and it's down between the seats.
In the crack between the seats
Yeah.
is what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Make sure you get back in touch with us, Annie, and let us know. Because whenever I find something, I'm so proud.
I know. Let us know because we always want to know.
Yeah. And okay.
Okay. My BFS wants me to go visit her in mid-November. Should I go?
Okay. Should Nana Inbro go on the trip in November? Yeah, it's right up on the yes.
Yeah, I'm getting a yes.
And it didn't have any precursors or halfway to no's or anything else.
Sylvia wants to know if she's going to sell her house in 2024.
Okay.
Sylvia's house, will it sell in 2024? I'm getting a yes.
Yeah. It's going to, and the earlier you put it up, the better it's going to be. I don't know how we do with sorry oops. Okay.
Will Jay be able to afford to get her car fixed? You know what? That's not specific enough because that could be fixed this week, next year, next.
Okay.
10 years.
I'm going to ask with what JEA wants to do. Will she be able to accomplish that in the next month?
Will she be able to? Yes. I have. Will she be able to get her car fixed in the next month? Can she afford to get it? Yes.
And I think you're going to have to make a decision though, because of how it swung, that you're going to have to prioritize. You're going to have to get one thing fixed so that it's workable. And then you may have to save a little money to get the other thing they find. But it won't be make the car unsafe, just as something that's a nice to have, not a need to have.
Will I buy my RV van in December from Bad Hair Day?
Okay.
I know those. Will I buy my RV van in December?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you may even get it in November. It was a little ahead of the yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask about November because I got a no for December.
Okay.
I'm getting a yes in November.
That's what I got it to this side of the yes. That would mean 4.
I think that makes sense. Okay, let's see. Wait a minute. Where'd we go?
Oh, Nana said they settled for a nice looking pole thingy.
Oh, well, that's good.
So she didn't end up with one of those things that look like it landed from outer space.
Thank God for that. Okay.
We're going to ask if the glasses are in. Oh, I'm going to ask if they're gone forever.
I'll ask if they're in the house.
Okay.
I asked if they were in the house.
What'd you get?
I got they were in the house.
I got a really tiny circle. Yes.
Yeah, I got they're in the house, but they're gone forever. Wherever they are in your house.
I'm thinking.
Yeah,
they're gone forever.
See, I got gone forever was a clear yes.
Aren't they on?
Gone forever is a clear yes. So I don't know.
It's a yes
under something in the house or something like that.
You might have lost them in the house, but you're not going to find them.
And for the next question, I start swinging the pendulum before I ask the question. Yes, I do when I'm working with my chart.
She does it in a circle, you'll notice.
I started in a circle, and then it chooses where it wants to go after that.
Yeah. And it broke again already. Okay, who's next? Whoops.
Thanks so much. She never thought to check the car. She'll let us know.
We got the RV. Okay, I think this is our last one, which is a good thing because my thing is broken.
Okay, I've got some timing ones that might work better for that because
when will we find our next home to purchase? Yeah, we need one of your timing things, I think, on that one.
Okay, this one goes yes, no, maybe, and it does longer than a year, a few years, 5 years, 10 years, and down here it's like days. You want to try with that one? I'll try with that.
Yeah, you'll have to do this one because I don't have a chart.
Okay.
We got another timing one right after this.
6 months to a year, and right between 6 months to a year and longer than a year. So it's not like tomorrow, but it's not like way over here. It's not like many lives or ancestors.
Okay, let's see. Will my cousin sell her house soon? Another timing one.
Well, I don't know. That one can be yes. And soon is kind of a relative term, but I'm going to do yes, no on it.
Will her cousin sell her house soon?
Oh, I got another timing one as well.
I got yes for
Good.
soon. Hi, Dorothy.
Sell her house soon.
Dorothy thinks Ronnie should look in her bathroom for whatever.
Right. Okay, I've got this one. When should I start looking for a new job?
Okay, that's a timing one. When should Jenny Penny start looking for a new job? It kind of went between 3 to 4 weeks to 1 to 2 months. So that would seem to me like after the holidays.
Whoops, I just hit something.
Yeah, that's funny though.
I keep putting things up that I'm not trying to. Quit it. It's being okay. Let's see. Where was this last? We got the house. We'll find our next home, next job. Okay, this is it. When will Republican Byron Donald win speakership? Just announced his plan to run.
Okay. So did another guy today. So we still have.
I got to know on this guy.
Will Republican Byron Donald win speakership?
Will Brian McDonald win the speakership? No.
Yeah, I did know. Got to know too. Heather?
Yeah, I got to know.
Okay. See, everybody can play this game.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
Sylvia wants to know if she's going to move in with her son.
Okay.
Sylvia move in with her son.
I got a yes.
I got a yes.
I got a yes, but it took a while for it to get there.
Okay.
Pixie Dust wants to know, will I get the money to travel
North Carolina.
to North Carolina for Christmas or spring break?
I'm just going to ask if you're going to get the money to North Carolina and not try to figure out which one.
Yeah.
Or is she going to get the money for North Carolina?
I think if it's going to be one, it fell between yes and no. I think it's going to be the later one, the spring break.
I'm getting spring break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I love this one. This sounds like something I would do. I once lost a tiny gold ring and my pendulum kept showing the wall, but I couldn't find it. When I moved, I found it hanging on the back of the mirror. That's great.
That's why I said it was cool.
Mm-hmm. That is a good one. Okay. Do we have any more that we just really feel we have to read, or just want to wrap it up and say?
I've got one more.
Luggage.
Can you help me find my missing luggage key? Is it in my security safe?
Okay. I'm going to ask if it's in the security safe.
Is the missing luggage key in the security safe?
Yes.
Yes. I'm getting a yes too.
Not a yes right away.
Here's one more that I'm curious about. Will Liz Cheney come back to kick Jordan in his brass ones and kick him to the curb?
Well, I'm not sure I should use my pendulum to
that one.
I got that she's going to be reelected.
Is Liz
That I
Cheney going
believe.
to be reelected? I have she's going to be reelected.
I got that she's going to be reelected.
And that's all I'll say about that.
Mhm. Let's leave on a high note, right?
Absolutely. Whoops.
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
That was
Nancy
fun.
Jean, thanks so much for coming. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you guys, if you don't know what I do, or if I'm sort of new to your radar because you're over in Crone Zone and not where I am, on Sundays is the only day I read politics, except for just right now. And I read at 9:30 Central Daylight Time with on Spiritual Essence with Scott Allen.
Mhm.
And it's a great show, and I watch every Sunday.
Oh, very good.
It is a
It's
good show.
become my Sunday morning show, where it used to be Sunday morning. I think it was CBS that had that show. When I quit watching regular TV, now I watch you guys on Sunday morning.
Yep.
And if you all haven't watched Nancy
Just bring
Jean
your
and
coffee
Scott,
with
they
you.
are fantastic. Bring your coffee,
Yeah,
and,
Bring
bring
your
your
and
coffee.
your donut or your bagel and enjoy, because it's a rocking fun time.
And you know, I mean, go look at subteal. That'll intrigue you to want to learn how to use a pendulum if you've never used one before. And like we said, you don't have to go out and spend tons of money on anything. If you've got a necklace, it'll work.
That's right.
Eastern
most
time is
everybody-
10:30 Sunday morning.
Yes, Eastern.
And our
Mountain
shows
time it's 8:30.
Our shows are always on Tuesday and Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern for those of you on Nancy's channel that haven't watched us before. And Nancy, you've got a tarot class going on right now, and I believe you're going to have another one coming.
Yeah, and and there's a lady in the chat I need to talk to because I used Dorothy Morgan to help me pick the electional date when to set the course up. And she was spot on, and everything's worked out just like we saw. And we were walking into a treacherous season. We started it in October, and trying to pick a day that was a good day to make an announcement in this September, October has been horrible. But Dorothy, we went through it valiantly, and we got the right dates. And it'll be probably starting later in January. It's a 6 weeks course. If you know cards, it's fun. If you don't know cards, it's even more fun because you learn all these weird things you never knew was on that deck.
Well, I'm going to take your January class because I'm too busy at the moment to take any class anymore. So I couldn't take this one. But from what you've been talking about, I can't wait to take this class. I might actually learn the tarot, and that would just be awesome. I've always wanted to read tarot.
Oh, and the first 3 weeks are basically informational, and we encourage people to play with them a little bit. But this week we actually all sat down and read questions for each other, and it was amazing how many people got the same cards. They got the same thing, and it was a great experience for them. And they're like, you could kind of see. I used to teach live tarot classes before COVID. And you can kind of see when people go, "Oh my God, this works." You can see it on their face. "Oh my God." And the political show I do on Sunday is at 10:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Central. Somebody just wrote that in big bold letters. Okay.
Good.
And then the other part is that, and usually on Tuesdays at 1:00, I have a show, and I so if you are subscribed to my channel, you'll get the notifications, and you'll get a chance to place your questions in. And I try to get as many questions as I can. And we do everything from pendulums to past lives to informational things.
Yeah.
You know, and I work with elementals, and that's the fairies and the elves. And I have my own dragon. He shows up occasionally. And so
I have my Heather and I each have a dragon too. Mine's Matilda.
Yeah, mine's Cecil. He's cutie. And
Mine is Merelda.
they don't have real modern names, okay. But anyway, we have a lot of fun, and I try to help people understand all the stuff I've learned. I started reading tarot when I was 12. And along the way I've learned a lot of things. So
it's called Crone wisdom. We've kind of picked it up along the way in all these years that we've been alive.
That's right.
And
Just right for
you
phones.
have so much wisdom to share with people. If you haven't been on Nancy Jean's channel, you've definitely got to go. There is all kinds of information for all of us that we
See,
can
if
learn.
all of you would just flood over, I'll get to 5,000 because I'm that close to 5,000.
We're very close to 500.
Yeah, I know. But that's okay. Because I remember back
I think we have 492 right now. So we're really close to.
Yes. And you're reaching. I always feel like I'm reaching the people I need to reach.
Us too. We feel exactly that.
And, when I first started reading in December of 20, the people kept saying, no, you have to read politics or your channel will never make it. And I said, then I won't have a channel because I'm not going to. I ran political campaigns, guys. I know all about politics. There's a big reason I don't want to do politics.
Yeah, we don't do politics.
Yeah, the energy is terrible.
Oh, it's, but I understand because it sort of gives everybody a platform that they think they can talk from. But, sometimes I sit throwing those little Nerf balls at my TV. The ones I have left over from when George Bush was president, I throw them at my computer screen.
I love that.
Anyway, I just come on over and, subscribe, and then you can unsubscribe if you really think it's bad.
It's worth it. No. It's absolutely worth it.
Just so many things we can do that can relieve our tension and help us move forward. And we're in such a time of change. You never know what's going to be the trigger for you.
You never do. You never do. Things are changing so fast as well. Well, thank everybody in the chat for being here. We appreciate you. We love you. Please go out and shine your light this weekend. Let everybody see the love coming from your heart center. That's the way we rock and roll around here. Yep. Sending out love to everybody. Even the
people
I hope you'll come back soon.
Sending out love. They need it.
Yeah, I'll come back in December when I know better where the class is going to be and how it's going to be structured.
Great.
Sounds great.
Great.
Bye, everyone. Thank you again for being here. We love you. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next